Welcome to the channel, Grand Colombia, and welcome back to Coffee Time Live. You're sitting here in Armenia, Colombia. Greetings from rain-soaked Armenia, Colombia. We've had a ton of rain this last week. It's supposed to be kind of the drier season, and it's been crazy. A couple days it just rained whenever it wanted to. I had a visitor here, and we're driving around in the car, and he said, "Are those clouds like dropped down here? Are we closer to the clouds?" Thank you, Mike. And I said, "No, it's ridiculous. Ha ha ha." And then a couple days later, the clouds literally did drop down to, I don't know, about 200 feet. It's been crazy. I don't know what the heck is going on. Oh yeah. So, glad you noticed. So I can put my hat back on since you noticed. Okay, so what do we got here? I put the Discord link up at the top. A bunch of people are in there already. Por acá esperando mi amigo. Well, not anymore. Good morning, formerly from LA, now from Armenia. Awesome. Let's see. I need new glasses. Can you tell? Duca, good morning. And since you did it early, let me put this up here. Contribution, that one. And I got the note on it. I already told Alejandra. And that one's for me. For the channel. Thank you. It's very kind of you. What do we got? Marcelo, buenos dias, de El Paso, Texas. Tejas. Audio good, awesome. Oz, hello, new subscriber from Norway. Welcome, 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 welcome. Man, we're all over the world. Let's see. Mike, good morning from downtown Armenia. What are you doing downtown? Out strolling on a Sunday, catching a coffee at the park. Yeah, we went to visit Mike this week. I'll talk about it in a little bit. Dan, how you doing, Dan? Yeah, haircut looks good. Well, let me tell you about the haircut. I'll get to the rest of this. You know, it was driving me crazy, and I told you you won't see me in another coffee time with that hair. It was really driving me crazy. It was an experiment. Won't do that again. Experiment answered. So I go to the barber shop. There's one in particular I like. Haven't been there in 6 months, but so I go there and there's a line. And so I said, I'll go tomorrow. So I go back another day and I go earlier in the morning. So usually it's slow in the morning. Big old line. Oh, you know, it's like I'd have to wait an hour and a half or something. So I come back. I don't want to keep doing this. And so, I don't know, something happened, just really pissed me off. So I went in the bathroom and I just started cutting. So this is a homemade haircut. And it's okay around here. I actually know how to cut hair. But in the back where I couldn't see, and you're not going to see it, there were a couple stragglers that were quite long, and I was just annoyed, so I just grabbed them. So you've got a couple chop marks in the back. And Alejandra came over and visited, and she saw the haircut, and I turned my head, and she just bust out laughing. Yeah, that's how she is. Good morning, George from Northern California. How you doing, George? And good morning from communist California. Well, maybe one of these days it'll change. You know, there's a lot going on these days. Okay, need a drink. Hold on. Already had my coffee for the new people. I almost always have juice in here during the video because I like my coffee in the morning and I only drink 1 cup. Okay, let's see. So I tried that once as well, ended up without hair for a while. Never again will cut my own hair. I used to cut it all the time when I was in Ecuador, which is kind of ridiculous because, especially when I was living in Giron, it was $2 for a haircut. But I don't know, it's easy. I actually have clippers, I have the right scissors, I know how to cut hair. I learned how to cut hair back when I was in the Marine Corps. And in helicopters, you never have free time. I mean, you're working 18, sometimes 24 hours a day. And the guys would, wouldn't have time to go get a haircut. So I just started cutting hair, experienced on them. Funny, it looked like an amateur job to me. Well, it is an amateur job. I never claimed to be an expert, but I know how to do it. And actually, it may look like an amateur job, but it doesn't look much different than the barber shop. And keep in mind, I cut it the way I want it. My wife and I decided that Armenia will be our first stop on our world slow tour. Okay, just remember, I am not trying to lure people here. I'm doing videos about my life, my experiences, and I give you my honest opinion about wherever it was, Manizales or Cuenca, Ecuador, or Giron, or wherever it is. I give you my honest opinion about it. It's my opinion, therefore can't be wrong because it's my opinion, right? But I'm not trying to talk people into coming here. Let's see. Jane, good morning. How you doing? Just returned from Cuenca. Your ankles intact? I understand that the dogs have been cleaned up a lot. Not a lot of wild dogs. I talked to Sandy this morning. I chatted with her for a few minutes. I should have asked her. I want to get her back on soon. You guys seem to like when Sandy comes on and talks about Ecuador. Sounds like your Colombian friend disagrees with you on that. Yeah. Does the Colombian tax authority take 30% of retirement income? Only if you give it to them. But there's no answer to that question. First, you have to provide it. Second, it wholly depends on what the amount is. I don't know anyone on retirement that owes any tax here. Good morning from Houston, Texas. How you doing? Never cared for Houston very much. I kind of feel like Houston, like I feel about Cali here. I never really liked it. And outside of going there and making that determination, every other time I went through Houston, it was just because I had to fly in and fly out. Buenos dias, enjoying paradise. I take it you're back. Mike Chad from Armenia. Thanks for tour. Check out 15th floor amenities. Thanks for tour. Check out 15th floor amenities. I'm confused. I think he's talking about the building that he's staying in. Are you a people person or do you like being by yourself? I like being by myself. Now, I will say that because I spend so much time by myself, when I do meet people, I'm usually pretty happy about it, and it wears off quick for me, but 2-3 days, maybe 4, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm a people person. If I had to do that all the time, I'd go crazy. We had already decided on Armenia before I saw your channel. It's one of many places we'll visit in Colombia. No worries. Well, I'm not trying to scare you away early. A lot of times I say something in reaction to a message or an email I got that's in my head, and somebody said something about I forget the word they use. I'll use one that was like I was shilling for Armenia, trying to get people here. I could give a crap if people decide they want to come here or not. It really, It's not, my existence doesn't depend on it. Not my city, too overstimulating. Dogs were pretty scarce. So that's good. Yeah, they started cleaning them up before I'd even left. They were sending the trucks out at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, gathering them up. They take them to the north end of the city. Rumor had it they were taking them to the meat processing plant. They weren't, but it was actually just down the road from it, and they were killing them. And everybody said, well, that was cruel. But having them on the street, diseased, attacking people, that was cruel. It's, hopefully they've got a handle on it, because it got really bad. What is the building name where Mike lived down south? It's Brisa Bosque, I think. Have you seen or exchanged comments with Don Shader? Don't know the name. He's a newer retired Ecuador YouTuber. You two would make an interesting conversation. No, I don't really watch much. I watch YouTube a lot, but I really have very little interest in YouTubers in Ecuador or in Colombia, anywhere down here, for a lot of reasons. But occasionally somebody will catch my eye, or somebody will aggravate me. A lot of times you get people that travel into an area and they do those first impression videos, and 9 times out of 10, they're completely wrong. If I go to a place and get first impression, there's usually more to that story, and so those kind of aggravate me, because people that don't know any better, they watch that and then they think, well, that's how it is. And, so that's annoying. I hate bogus information. Like the one just a few weeks ago about the new visa laws. Well, there are no new visa laws. And just like every year or two, they're always talking about these things. What was it, 2 years ago? I was getting all these messages and you guys were asking me because the couple from Sweden or wherever they were, they did this video about the new laws, and everybody was in a panic. And on my channel, I said, no, this is crazy. They want to get out there and get their content, because they're actually making money on it. I'm demonetized, so I don't make any money on the channel, but it's clickbait. And so there was one a couple of weeks ago, and it was very similar. He did start with a disclaimer, but then he proceeded to talk through the whole video as though this is going to happen. And I mean, it's possible it's going to happen, but it's very unlikely. And the thing is, it has to go from the conversation to somebody actually proposing the law, then it's got to get voted on. I mean, it's got a whole process to go through. So getting worked up over something, it just kind of crazy. And then somebody sent me an email where an attorney, and you know how I feel about immigration attorneys in Colombia, an attorney told him, wait 6 months to get your video, for the new law. 1, there's no new law. Shame on the attorney. 2, if the new law is going to be more complicated, then why on earth would you wait? Why wouldn't you do it now when it's easy? Okay. Sorry about that. You got me here and I love it. Thank you very much. I didn't get you here. Come on. I grew up in Houston, but I married a Colombian wife. She's from Armenia. Awesome. I'm very fortunate. I've been there twice and I love it. It's me. But again, I keep telling people, Armenia, for me, there are particular and personal reasons why I love it. If I were to objectively look at my next favorite place in all of Colombia, Manizales, if I didn't have that connection that I've got to Armenia, Manizales would be head and shoulders above. I mean, it's got so much more going for it. So here's why I'm saying that. if you're interested in the coffee region, and it's the best part of Colombia, so I get that. Of course, check out Armenia. You can check out Pareda, but you can check it out. But by all means, check out Manizales. I'm telling you, it's awesome. I lived on 23. It's the top of the main mountain. It's that big 4-lane highway. It's about 3-4 miles from end to end. And everything in the world is there. World-class international restaurants. I mean, people say, well, it's steep, you can't walk. Well, you can walk up and down 23. You know, you got a long way to walk. You got malls down here, you got malls down here. There's coffee shops on every street corner. It's a great place. And the question marks are cool, but we're really not to the questions. I got some topics to cover, and then we'll get to the official questions. I love Don's comments. But you say, does Armenia have Pico y Placa? Yes. How about surrounding cities? All the cities have it. Is there a shortage of barbers there? No, there's no shortage of barbers. There's tons of them. Exploratory trips are a must. If you can afford it, absolutely. I mean, some people have the money to live somewhere reasonably well, but they don't have extra thousands of dollars to do trips here and do trips there. And I get that. I understand that. Reese, Manizales, top of my list of places I've visited. Thank you, Reese. I mean, am I wrong here? I mean, people really should be thinking about Manizales, because it really is an awesome place. And I'm serious when I say it's my favorite city in the world, I believe. And, you know, I've traveled a lot. Like I say, if I didn't have the connections I have here, which makes this the best for me, for most people, I think Manizales would be better. Why do you like Armenia better than Manizales? I don't want to go into it now. I've actually talked about it a lot, and I want to get to some topics. If we have time later in the show, without running long, and it gets a little quiet, ask again, and I'll talk about it again. But for regular viewers, I've kind of beat that to death. I'm an American that arrived in Manizales a few days ago. I spent a month in Pareda and 2 months in Armenia. I'll be heading to Ibagué next month. Keep up the great show. Thank you. Ibagué. Got to say Ibagué. And it's interesting. We're definitely worth going to. Wouldn't want to live there, but I get it. I've got I think 1, maybe 2 regular viewers that live in Ibagué. Greece, Costa del Sol in Spain is tops if you got money. Well, yeah, well, if I had a ton of money, I might be living in Japan again. I lived there for 3 years and really love the culture there. Language is easy. I was fluent in a year. You know, I don't know how many years I'm going on now. I mean, I was married to a Colombian girl, and it just, I don't know. I'm a rockhead. All right, we got some topic here. Okay, this week, I had much of the week I spent with a visitor here. It was very interesting. He's not moving here, but he's here just kind of checking it out. That was very cool. We went to, one day, we did a little tourist thing. We went to Finlandia, and afterwards, we also went to Salento. So it was kind of jam-packed, but, you know, he got a good sense of it, because those two are very interesting. The topography is very different from each other. We went to visit Mike down in the south, checked out his $160 a month apartment, and he was explaining how he's actually living on about $1,000 a month, which you can do in the south of Armenia. If you're in the north part, you probably want to have about $1,500. If you're a married couple, maybe $2,000. You don't have to have that to live, to survive, and it doesn't make you rich. It's just kind of comfortable living. If you want to go out for dinner once in a while, you can do that, to a nice restaurant. And, you can travel around Condillo, and, it gives you enough money to enjoy your time here, but you're not going to, have a housekeeper live in and that kind of thing. You're right. The coffee region is the best part of Colombia. It is for me. I know some people love the Pacific Ocean or the Caribbean coast. Yeah. I love the coffee region. I love Salento, which is, it reminds me, people are always talking about temperature, and the guy who was visiting, he was looking at the internet, and it was telling him all kinds of stuff, like Armenia is warmer than Pereira, even though they take that temperature at the airport where it's hotter than hell and it's way out of town south of here. But where I live, it's way cooler. But it doesn't tell you that in those apps. And he was talking about rainfall, and so I was giving him a lot of perspective on that. But like I showed him, well, like one day we were going to walk somewhere in the morning, and it was weird. It was a morning that it was just torrential downpour, thunder and lightning going off, and I messaged him about 8 o'clock, and I said, well, if it's doing this, then I've got an alternative, and we can do that, because we don't want to be walking in that, because it was going to be quite a walk. And so he gets back to me and he says, well, the weather app says that at 9 o'clock it's going to clear up and blue sky, sunshine. And I was just laughing. And I said, well, let's hope so, but I wouldn't count on it. Well, 9 o'clock comes, it's still raining. 10 o'clock comes, it's still raining. Those apps do not work here. It's bogus. Okay. I would like to buy a used car, not a great option or idea. What options do you recommend for a good deal for your money? I don't know what your money is. I don't recommend getting a car. There's no need for a car except in very few circumstances. You don't need it for traveling around. It just, for most people, it makes no sense. As a skateboarder, cities with good roads, fairly flat topography is more desirable for me. Which Colombian cities meet these requirements, would you say? Somewhere out on the coast where there's no mountains. But Alejandra is a she calls it a longboard. What the hell do I know? I assume it's a skateboard, but longer. And she goes all over the place. And when I went to the airport to pick this gentleman up, she went with me. Now, if you've been here, it's quite a ways out of town. I don't know how many miles, but it's out of town. And it's like this. She was telling me how she longboarded out one way to the airport and then longboarded back on a different road. And they came up because the one coming back is way more uphills, and a couple were pretty steep. And I mean, seriously, why would you take a skateboard out? But for her, it's nothing. I think she's Iron Woman or Superwoman or something. Okay, what else I have here? Oh, you guys should know, if you're going to be here, the 3rd of March is the beginning of the paro, or the protest. Like I've told you before, they're annual or semi-annual. And for here, it'd be interesting and it'd be no big deal. But be careful, particularly in Cali and Bogota, and keep your antenna up anywhere, because this is an election year, and we're already into, I think in March, begins the election for their equivalent of the Congress. And then you got the presidential election in May. And of course, all the troublemakers and infiltrators will be in there. And, the people, for the most part, it's pretty peaceful, but you get these agitators that infiltrate and start throwing rocks at the police. Next thing you know, you got some violence going on. So that primarily, I mean, Bogota and Cali are notorious for that. And last year when that was going on, everybody was freaking out. That's where the things really happened. So, you know, just be aware of that. I mean, I wouldn't run in fear of it, but if you're going to Cali or Bogota, just really avoid those. I'll also tell you that the Facebook crap is already coming out. Last year, they flooded Facebook with a lot of, we'll just say, propaganda. And when I say they, I mean it's political. And so inside Colombia and outside Colombia, there are political parties that have a vested interest in trying to overthrow this government. And same everywhere. Yeah, same everywhere. And they put all kinds of things out to kind of pit people one against the other. There was a post I saw yesterday in one of the things that was a breakdown, not a bad breakdown, but you could tell it was a couple years old. And it talked about a family of four, husband, wife, 2 kids, and the cost for eggs and milk. And it went down through all the things that they had to buy. And it said falsely that 32 million people in Colombia are on minimum wage. That's not true. But it doesn't matter because it's to put an impression out there, you know, as long as there's some truth. And when it boiled down to it, they took all the money that, you know, they're both working and took all the money and didn't really have enough money to pay for everything. Well, we would kind of know if that were the case for most people. And I usually avoid those, but I did comment that if the majority of people in Colombia can't afford to live, then who the hell is driving all these cars in all these cities that causing all these traffic jams? Who's in these cars? And why is Colombia so famous for having so many beautiful malls? I mean, there's malls everywhere. I don't just mean malls. I mean, these gorgeous malls. Who's shopping in them? Who's going in there? I mean, is it the upper 5%? No, because if you go in the malls on any given Sunday, which is like family day, like the one here, the Portal Candil, the one in most north, you go in there on a Sunday and you could see 20,000 people on any given day walking around, buying little things. It's, you know, it's nonsense, but it's put out there. And the thing is, Alejandra and I had a conversation about this. A lot of people here, like a lot of people everywhere, they hear something. If it sounds like there's a grain of truth, then it becomes true. They don't do any kind of research on it. You know, they don't personally fact check. You don't need some organization, but a quick look into the statistics for Colombia through DANE, which is the organization, and you quickly see that that post was just bogus. But it's political. I mean, it comes out, you know, just before the elections and just before the protest. And it was all in Spanish. It was translated, but it was not intended for the gringo site. It was intended for consumption in Colombia. And so, you know, people that will go, well, it doesn't apply to me, but it applies to everybody else. You know? And they get all worked up. And here's why. Because it's a training device. Because if they can get people stirred up enough, even if they're not convinced, particularly in the guy that you're trying to sell, you get them out there and you get them actively participating in a march or a protest. From that point on, you kind of own them because now they have a vested interest in it. And that vested interest will cause them to go vote, which they may or may not have done, and vote for the guy that, you know, the information makes it looks like the hero. And it's, so anyway, so there's that. So just, you know, keep that in mind. I don't tell you to be afraid. I'm certainly not. I'll be out walking around in it like, you know, I did last year. I walked through and did video. It's not a big deal. But Cali, Bogota, and it won't be everywhere, but the part of town where that's going on, it's real simple. You get in a taxi and just, say, don't go there, or he'll probably tell you. Okay, that story sounds like it's America. It's everywhere. It's a worldwide movement. It's a left, progressive, socialist, communist, whatever you want to call it. It's what it is. It's the same pattern. It's the same routine. People say, no, yes, it is. It's very obvious. How is Japanese language easier to learn than Spanish? I would think it would be the opposite. Absolutely, it's not. The Japanese language is very precise. It doesn't have I before E except after C. It doesn't have any of the exclusionary kind of, one of the big things is it's not a changing language. So the Japanese you use today is the same as 50 years ago. It reminded me of mathematics. It's very exacting. It's very precise. It makes it very simple. With Spanish, I mean, my God, it even depends on where you are. In Ecuador, words will have different meanings than they'll have in Colombia, and they're right next door to each other. I mean, you could still speak and understand each other, but you can also kind of embarrass yourself because they use a lot of sexual innuendo in words in Colombia, and in Ecuador, not so much. And you could say something there, it has a certain meaning, and you come here, and all of a sudden you're hitting on somebody sexually and you didn't mean to. So it's like, how many languages do I speak? I speak English. I'm not a linguist at all. I lived in Japan for 3 years. I found it a very easy language. I had a girlfriend, but I went to the University of Maryland, had an extension. I went to that. I just found it very easy. It's not confusing, where Spanish is very confusing. I mean, you get a verb here, it's got 8 different forms. It's just, Spanish is a very difficult language. It's even worse than English. Antoa Nihongo, well, you kind of got it. Do I speak Japanese? Keep in mind, it's been, yeah, spelling is wrong for sure. Yeah, it's wakarimasu ka? Nihongo o hanashimasu ka? It's been, God, I don't even know, longer than probably most people watching have been alive. So it's been a long time. You got to use language or you'll lose it. I'm bilingual. I speak English and BS. Yeah. Okay, what else we got? Oh, a little nothing here, but as you guys know, I love my Rappi app. I can pay my bills. I can order from a restaurant. I can have things come from the grocery store. For the grocery store, I suggest only get basic things that can't mess up. You don't let them pick your fruits or vegetables or meat or things like that. But, if you're getting a bag of rice or a bag of milk or a dozen eggs or whatever, those kind of things, it's pretty handy. Well, I use Rappi a lot, and I think it was a year, well, maybe almost 2 years ago, they sent me this unsolicited. It's a Rappi credit card, which I was very surprised because I'm not a permanent resident. I'm like everybody else that's here for under 5 years. I'm just on my retirement visa. So they sent that. It was unsolicited, came in this really fancy box. I did an unboxing on the channel. It was pretty awesome. It had all these things inside and was like, do, and pretty damn good credit line. So I got that. All right, cool. A couple days ago, unsolicited, watch your eyes, you might want to put your sunglasses on. I got that. This is a debit card for that account. Now, what I want to show you, and God, you know, they didn't ask me, so I don't know if there's any choices in color. They just sent this, and it's actually will be pretty useful. But notice this one, whoops, is oriented horizontally, right? And this one is oriented vertically. Anything here, if it's a credit card, it's this way. If it's a debit card, it's this way. Now I have a Nexigo account that I almost never use, but is that credit or debit? It's debit. I didn't know that. When I got it, I noticed the thing, and I said, well, it's like my Nexigo. And there was a friend here, and she clued me in that, well, that's how they do it. Okay. So that's pretty cool. All right, I think that's what I got. Oh, where is Marshall? Here's Marshall. On the right. Los Angeles, California. They got a bachata festival. I believe it ends today. So that's where he is. And do I have anything else? Okay, the apartment. I was asked again, so I'm gonna run the little promo thing that I wrote. And as long as we're on promos, I bring up this travel insurance. There's a link that comes up in the chat, and there's a link down in the description box below the video if you're looking at this in YouTube. And it's for the travel insurance. So if you need insurance to get your visa, for example, you can buy like 2 months of it through them. It's a competitive price. I think there's some kind of discount if you use the link with me. And if you do, I get a notice saying that they're going to give me a similar amount. There's several that have been done, but there's a whole process that I have to go through. But, you know, it's like, well, if we both benefit and the price is reasonable, what the hell, right? So there's that. And if you want to know about Emil's apartment, just write me at this email, and I will get you connected with him. Now, you got here, I thought I found Rappi per your recommendation, paid $10 subscription. A week later, I got 100 wrapping papers in the mail. I searched Rappi, not Rappy. Kind of surprised me. I did a video about everything, but a couple years ago, I did a video about the apps that you want to have here. And I talked about Rappi, and I go into some detail with Rappi, and I cover all the ones that I think are really necessary if you live here. So, you know, I don't go over it all the time. I already did a video, just refer back to it. You'll find it about 2 years ago. And there is a search mechanism, you know, so you can use that. I saw Rappi in Mexico City. Yeah, they're all over South America. It originated in Colombia, but a big company in Brazil bought it. But the one in Colombia is still autonomous. Okay, here we go.
It's Q&A time. It's time to start asking your questions. Remember, 4 question marks first, then ask the question.
And no Super Bowl talk, no Buffalo Bills talk. Okay, we got anything? If you don't come up with a question, then you're going to have to come here and let me cut your hair. All right, what we got? Unless the laws do change, I think you will be eligible for permanent residency about the same time I am. Is there any reason you don't want full citizenship? I have no need for it. I don't know, it may occur to me at some point, but I don't, once I have the permanent residency, I'm home free. I don't have to do visas anymore, and that's all I really care about. Citizenship, I don't know, you know, you got to pay extra money for it, and I don't really have a purpose for it. When am I eligible? I think under a year and a half. Under a year and a half, I'm eligible for it. Most Colombians cook at home for breakfast and dinner and spend time outside the home for lunch. Is this what you do? I don't eat 3 meals a day. I usually don't eat breakfast. I'll eat, I cook a lot. And so generally I'll cook and eat it late in the afternoon, maybe 2 or 3. If I'm out running around, you know, I'll buy something out. If I'm with somebody here, then, you know, I'll eat in a restaurant. But I don't eat out that much. Sometimes I'll order something to deliver. When I'm in the house, I'm usually working on things. And dinner, if I have a good sized lunch, I usually don't even eat dinner. I know you're supposed to eat like 50 meals of a little bit throughout the day and like that. I just eat when I'm hungry. And if I have a big lunch, then, then I don't need more. I need a great hash brown recipe. Got one? Yeah, I make a good hash brown, but yeah, we're not going to go over that here. But man, the internet's full of them, and there's nothing to it. Do you use a surge protector on your electronic equipment? I have actually a power supply. I would show you, but I would have to disrupt things. But I bought a battery power supply. It's good for about an hour or so. And it also, anything connected to it's a surge. It's got a whole bunch of plug-ins in the back, so I've got everything through it. It's not an issue here because before I got that, there was never a problem. The reason I got it was in 360 for about 2 months. There was some construction nearby, and they kept turning the electric off. They turn it off, they turn it on, they turn it off, turn it on. It was driving me crazy. And one time, I lost a bunch of work because of that. It didn't save and whatever, and it killed me. And so I said, to hell with it. And so I bought this. It was delivered. It came out of Bogota. I bought it on Mercado Libre, and as I recall, it cost me about $50. So it wasn't very expensive. So that's what I have. I know there's a long way to go for a simple question. Is the cost of living in Colombia similar to Ecuador? Depends where in Ecuador, but no, in general. Oh, Cuenca, no. Armenia is one of the cheapest places in Colombia, but you can even compare Medellin to Cuenca, and Cuenca is more expensive. Cuenca is not cheap. And now things are relative. So if you go there on a visit and you're in a city where you make a lot of money and you're making 10, 15 grand a month or something, you go down there, then it's going to seem like it's dirt cheap. But if you're on a retirement and, you live in a place, or you're not making that kind of money, or if you come from a part of the United States that doesn't have that kind of paycheck, you're going to realize that it's, relatively speaking, Cuenca is, I would say, about double the cost of here, maybe more. I was looking at places in Armenia, and I saw on a Facebook post that places north of Sucre Park would be safer. Is that true? Yeah, again, we go to the safety thing, and it's a maddening thing, because Armenia, even in the so-called dangerous areas, the 4 barrios that are most dangerous, is a safer city than most of the cities in the United States. It's again, all things are relative. Armenia is a safe place. And the safer part of Armenia is in the north part of the city. That's true. We had somebody get shot in the head in a supermarket. Turned out it was the guy who shot it was a mistake. And everybody in the supermarket chased the guy down, had his gun, but they chased him down, gave him a beat down, held him for the police. It's never happened here before. That's the first time anything like that's happened. Things can happen, but, it's, I don't know. I don't worry about it. Why does Colombia quality of life is better than Ecuador? What's the difference in women? Well, women are completely different in the culture, but that's too subjective, and it gets kind of in a topic that I don't really talk about on this channel. Quality of life is better. I don't know. Maybe it's great for you. It's more expensive. There's a lot of things about the culture I don't care for. It's a lot of government control. The government kind of inflicts things on people. Like the big example, we'll say the Tranvia in Cuenca. That was a nightmare. It put 1 million people out of business. People in Cuenca they didn't want it. But the way things are constructed, the mayor decided he was just going to do it, and he pushed it ahead, and everybody had to pay for it. It ended up taking twice as long, way over budget. It cost people a fortune. Businesses went out left and right. Granted, you go there now, you see it, well, that's nice. But it's not used much. It didn't really contribute anything except a lot of suffering to people. It's not the best kind of government to be around. There's a lot of prejudice there. I don't know. I had a great time there. I enjoyed my life when I was living there. So for some people it's awesome. For me, I love being here. This is one of my favorite places in the world. It was when I first came 20 years ago. I fell in love with this area, the Quindío area, and I'm real happy that I'm ended up back here. Please, Lauren, hook me up with Mike down south. I need an apartment for my son. I wonder if I need to travel down to look for an apartment. Maybe Mike can tell me if anything is available. You should know how to find an apartment. It's not hard, but if you want to talk to Mike, get on the Discord channel. I put a link at the top of near the top of the chat. If you scroll up there, you'll see it. Let me go. And you can converse with them there. Now, you can't click on that's on the screen. I'm just showing you. But if you scroll up, you'll find that. And if you click on it, then you can join the channel for Gran Colombia. It's just us. There's like 30-something of us. And you can ask each other. You can answer people. You can give information. I hear Domino's Pizza is big in Colombia. It's true. Domino's is average or below average in the States. What do you recommend for pizza places in Colombia? But in Colombia, hell if I know. I mean, I've been everywhere, but I didn't go around buying pizzas. In Armenia, there's Basilica's is good. There's a Papa John's here if you like that. The Domino's here, I don't know if Domino's drastically changed their operation in the United States, because I used to hate Domino's, but the Domino's pizzas here are not like those pizzas that I hated. They're actually pretty damn good. There's a reason they're popular. It's because they're very good. There's a number of local places in Armenia. Now, I did that pizza video, and it just so happened that for various reasons, like they all kind of sucked and Papa John's won. But I've had other pizzas since, and, you know, got them fresher and like that. So, you know, you can get good pizza, but they do have a lot of bad pizza, in my opinion, because I don't like, the number one pizza here is the Hawaiian pizza, and I just want to vomit over that. It's nasty. And any food here is good with cheese, better with too much cheese. So, yeah, there's, you know, it's a matter of taste. It's just different taste. So what do we got here? What I heard about the guy who killed another was shot because the one who died killed the wife of the one who killed him. Wow. That's quite a sentence there, but I heard it turned out that it was the wrong guy on top of that. Like, you know, the reason he had, so it was a crime of passion, but the reason he had, it turned out it was a mistake, but I don't know. Hola, Alejandra. Buenas, Alejandra. You should be here with your friend to clean my apartment or my house. Has Armenia become more expensive due to inflation? Yes. 2 weeks ago, I talked at length about that, so you can go in the archives, go back 2 coffee times, and I talked a lot about it. I gave some examples. Fortunately for me, I'm kind of immune to it because the exchange rate is higher than normal, and it's kind of offsetting that. But yes, it's actually really putting a hurt on a lot of people. I think what's happening right now is worse than even when the quarantine was going on. I'll be traveling to Colombia in the next few months. I have 2 checked bags and don't want to travel from location to location with 2 bags. Is there a storage option for one of my bags? Don't know. You mean you're not going to have like a base? You're going to be, why are you bringing 2 bags if you're just going to be traveling? You're going to want access to that bag or you wouldn't be bringing it. So I would think that means that you're kind of renting a place. I don't know how to answer that because there's just a lot of questions on it. There are places where you can check a bag. I don't know how long you can do it. I can't tell you specifically how that works because I've only ever done it once, and that was in the bus terminal in Cali, where I checked bags early in the day, and I came back and redeemed them that night. So I don't know, you know, beyond that. I assume there are places to do that. Best pizza in Colombia is Michelle. Best pizza, they're a chain and they're all over the place. I had one once that really kind of sucked. I had another one that was okay. Good friend of mine says that it's awesome. So I think it has more to do with hit and miss and what location I'm thinking. And I was going to order one from them the other day, but I didn't. When it's like that, I don't really want to take the chance. I don't want to be stuck with a pizza that I don't really want to eat. I want a pizza that's good enough to where I'm eating it for the next 3 days, you know? So I like cold pizza. How's the quality of Colombia dairy products? I got milk running through my veins. You can get any kind of milk that you want. You can get raw milk, whole fresh milk. The way most people eat it here, it's in those super sterilized bags that have a shelf life of like 6 months. I get mine that way. For me, I just drink 0%, and their 0% is like most. It's just like drinking water. I mean, it doesn't really have much of a flavor. The milk in Ecuador had this flavor. It was kind of like a barnyard. I didn't like it. And I used to drink in the US, I'd buy these gallon jugs of milk, 0%, and I would drink it like water, and I would have it with all kinds of things. When I went to Ecuador, I actually almost stopped entirely drinking milk because it had such a weird flavor. But here, you got a bunch of dairies in Colombia, and I haven't had any that had that weird flavor. They just taste like milk. But I also hadn't bought the fresh milk. I mean, for me, I just don't drink enough milk anymore. It would spoil. So I get it in the bags. Do you see Armenia becoming westernized, or Colombia in general? You mean ruined like Medellin? Commercialized? I don't know if it's westernized. I mean, Colombia is in the west, it's hemisphere, and we're in the west. There's a lot of similarities and an affinity with Colombia and the United States. But the culture is strong in Colombia. So while you have a mall and you'll have, Domino's Pizza and some things like that, it's still the Colombian culture. Although I'm also seeing the Colombian culture change over the last 20 years. And not necessarily directed towards, any particular country, but I think social media worldwide is having effects on that. Great, the U.S. was a nightmare in terms of getting good quality milk. It absolutely sucked. Depends where you were. Where I lived, it was easy to get good milk. Those jugs are disgusting. What jugs? You mean the plastic bags, or do you mean in the U.S. the plastic jugs? Plastic jugs are really handy, and there's no taste to them, although you can also get glass bottles. Or at least where I lived, you can get glass bottles. Do you recall prices of ribeye dinner in Boludo? I don't know that they have ribeye in Boludo. Maybe they do. I always order the same thing for that particular place. If you want a ribeye, for sure, go to La Fogata. It's some of the best. I mean, it's just awesome. When I go to Boludo, I get what's called Argentina beef. Now, it's not Argentina beef, as this beef is from Argentina, even though it is. That particular dish is called Argentina beef, and there'll be other Argentine beef, and it'll have different names. But the one called Argentine beef, it's my favorite. It comes in 2 pieces. It's tender, but it's mostly crazy flavorful. I think they marinate it or something. There's others there at Boludo I actually don't really care for very much. But they have some U.S. Angus cuts. They have Argentine cuts. They have some Colombian cuts. But if you want an amazing ribeye, go to La Fogata. Good morning, Armenians. John from Trenton. How you doing? What's missing in Armenia that you think would be a good startup business opportunity? Restaurant. Well, restaurants, like everywhere, it's a shit. It's not a great business to get into. It's the turnover is it's you got to have enough money and you got to have a lot of luck. It's not the best thing to do. My skirt steak cost me $75,000. I'll call you on that. There's nothing on the menu that's that high. The Argentine beef used to be $28,000 and it went up to $32,000. Even the imported stuff is around 50,000. So no. You're remembering it wrong, or you ordered a bottle of wine with it or something like that, because it just not that high. Gallon milk jugs in the U.S. There's no taste to the jugs that they use, so I don't know. But there are difference of milk in various regions and different countries. I can tell you that. You know, when you travel a lot, you pick up on that. So, and the people get used to it. It's not like it's really good or bad. It's just different. Now, well, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes it's just kind of bad. But all that stuff in Argentina where it tasted like a barnyard. You know, if you walk into a barnyard and you smell all the poop and the hay and all that kind of stuff, the milk actually carried that flavor. And a lot of those cheeses that they had there also carried that flavor. That's why everybody's always hunting for good cheeses and things in Ecuador, because it's difficult to get something that actually tastes good. Here, it's you can get whatever you want. Imported cheese, or even the local cheeses are very good. What do you miss most about the U.S.? Top 3 things. My motorcycle? Of course, that's not there now. Nothing. Maybe that's why I'm here. I will be withdrawing from 2 banks in Colombia, and will be charged a standard 2% fee from my bank and the Colombian, so lower bank fees than my 2% ATM fees. I don't know. You see, I say all the time this, so I'm going to say it again. ATMs are hit and miss. I use Colpatria or Davivienda, and with that, there's no fees at all, and you get the right exchange rate. The worst one is Bank Colombia, because you not only get a fee, but you get a service charge, and you get raked over the coals on the exchange rate. Don't you love that when you buy something, the price is the price, no additional fee or tax? I do. I do love that. There's a value added tax here, but everything, it's included in the prices of everything. And even with that tax in there, things are, you know, a quarter of the price in the U.S. on average. How's the internet? I'm sitting here using fiber optic with 300 speed. Is it dependable to work online? Well, I don't know. What am I doing? The only problems I ever really have are from YouTube, not from the internet. And to stream online or do just about anything, all you really need is 30. Everything works good with 30. So even if you're in a place where it doesn't have fiber optic, if you get the speed of 30, which is kind of the standard, you won't have any problems. You can do video calls without buffering. You can stream, you know, TV shows. It's not a problem. One time, I got stuck. I had no choice but to use 15, and I could do everything, but I'd get buffering once in a while. Inflation is killing already slim margins for restaurants. Yeah, I'm starting to see they've been dragging their feet on raising their prices, but now you're starting to see the price thing with a little sticker put over it. So, you know, it's 7. Okay, today it's 8. It's 9. You know, you're seeing a lot of that kind of stuff. Maybe we should start a dairy processing plant in Ecuador. I don't think it'd do you any good. I think the reason is how they do things there. First of all, you'd have to bring your own cows. Their cows, I call them mongrels. They look like they're walking skeletons. They have to go fend for their own food. It's pathetic, actually, when you check out a dairy farm there. 'Cause I actually, when I lived in Huron, I went by a couple every time I went to Cuenca, which is at least 2, 3, 4 times a week. And I go by them on the way up and on the way down. And it's incredible. And that's why beef is so bad, because when the milk cows no longer produce milk, they kill them for the beef. And these are cows that are not fed properly. The cuts are really small, and they're climbing up and down these, mountain sides like goats. And, so there's no marbling. There's no real fat. Any fat that's there has this rancid smell. And the meat is just completely 100% lean and tough as hell. That's another thing people search for. Whoops. Glad you're happy in Colombia. Thank you for the content. Oh, thank you. I appreciate all that you guys do. George, I just noticed that. Thank you. I appreciate it. I could do some dairy farm outreach, teach proper animal care. Yeah, you could do that, except they could care less. It's part of the culture. And the thing is, as I said, they're accustomed to that taste. So if you bring in something like you're talking about, you're not going to have any buyers. They're not going to like it because that's not what they're used to. I'm a former dairy farmer and rancher. Lauren is spot on. Bring your own cattle. Oh, Mike, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, he also, when he was younger, he did a stint in a slaughterhouse too. We were talking the other day about that. Geeky questions. Sometimes on Stremio, there'll be a show, we'll say 150. That doesn't play well, but one or two does. Don't get it. You're talking about how many sources, so there'll be 150 sources and some would be 1 or 2. Yeah, the thing with any of those that are free is occasionally you run into something where the source just doesn't stream very well. There's usually a lot of choices, and I'll just, if I have issues with one, I'll do another one. Another thing that you have to do sometimes, I was watching, that show that was very popular, I guess, and I just saw it this last year. They're in Montana. It's the rancher in Montana. It's got, the movie star guy. I can't even think. I've been away too long. But anyway, I was watching that, and what I had to do was click on it, pause it, and then wait a couple minutes. Then I could click it to go, and it would play the entire show without a problem. So you kind of get used to it. But if there's any show in particular, that I just go to another one. Sometimes, like, I like some of the Master Chef things, and a lot of those, they just don't play right. Well, I just don't watch those. But most everything that I want to watch works fine. Smash the like button to support Lauren. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. On the other hand, the way when they demonetized me, they also killed the algorithm. So it doesn't really, normally it's very helpful, but in my case, I'm persona non gratis with YouTube anyway. But how is the meat at Olympica supermarkets? It's okay. The meat, if you want to buy meat, either go to a butcher shop. There's one in the north up Centenario north of me, or go to Supermercado Lorales. You can buy. I like their meat department. It's a good meat department. They'll cut everything to how you want it or leave it intact. It's very clean. It's professional. I like that. That's a good place to buy meat. Olympic is okay. I mean, it's okay. It's not the best. Most supermarkets just have the cheapest of the cheap so that they get a lot of turnover. I think the cost of transportation would kill any sort of budget I'd otherwise have for travel. Huh? Cost of transportation? You mean in Colombia? Where to get good frozen package of meat chicken? Frozen? Why would you get frozen? Buy fresh, and then you can put it in the freezer. They sell the Ziploc freezer bags, and then you can actually portion it up. I'll buy, like if I get a chicken leg and thigh, you know, the whole leg, I'll buy like 4 or 6 of them, and then I'll put them in individual Ziploc bags and then put them in the freezer. And it's cheaper to buy it that way. Does Colombia have Karens? Yeah. Mostly when people are visiting. Here, not so much. They don't really entertain that kind of acting out. Is unemployment in Armenia higher than the rest of the country? Is it visible? It's higher than the rest of the country. That means, is Armenia the worst in the country? No. Higher than some, lower than others, yes. Unemployment was running between 7 and 9% pre-lockdown. It's hard to get any kind of numbers now. I'm guessing, it's an educated guess, but I believe unemployment now is running up around 20%, which is crazy. 20 years ago, it was over 50%, and that was insane. That was, it was the Wild West. Is it getting better? I believe so. I'm seeing a lot of new businesses come into places where businesses have gone out of business, but with the inflation kicking in, I mean, it is not the best of times, but that's not Colombia. I mean, it's everywhere. The U.S. is having tons of problems also. You know, with inflation, your gas prices are killing you. I've got a friend in North Carolina that just hit $4 a gallon. You know, it's just, we're just going to have to weather the storm, and you know, maybe the people will throw out the bums that are creating this disaster. And, you know, we're not led by that. Colombia's pretty self-sufficient, and we're not being affected as much as people in the U.S., for example. We have our own oil, our own refineries, industry, medicine, all of those things are produced right here in Colombia. Uruguay, Argentina seem to have some good breeding in their cattle. Yeah. And here they've got, it's pretty popular. You have a lot of Brahma, but they also have Angus here. And so a popular breed here is a mix. They call them Brangus. And you can actually go to the store, and it's in a blue label, and you can get Brangus ribeyes and Brangus. They make an amazing chorizo out of that. It's like anywhere, you know, if you're here for a while, you get to know what's good and what to avoid, usually by trial and error, making the mistakes. Yeah, Argentina has great beef, but so does Colombia. The thing in Colombia, they have beef as good as anywhere. It's knowing where to buy it, because most everywhere you would go to buy meat, they're using the cheapest, lowest cuts. And so you have to search out where things are good. And you can always go to Price Mart. You can buy those big hunks of rib roast and whatever in the vacuum packs, and, you know, that's always there. Best brand name for white tuna. I don't remember. There's a brand that I went through a bunch. It's canned, but it's white tuna, flaky. It's not cat food. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. And I've been buying it for 4 years now. Right on the Ave, you live on Dark Papaya, has a great steak. It's okay. I know, and it's all right. There's better. I see Dark Papaya as kind of just a little above average. I see the Argentine beef, the name of that dish, as being 3/4 of the way up the chart. And I see La Fogata, you go in there and get yourself a ribeye, and that's going to be right near the top. I'd love to be paying $4. Well, yeah, but you live in commie country. Love to hear it. I'm leaving Norway for Colombia in June. Awesome. Wave goodbye if you're traveling through, or wave hello. All right. We went 15 minutes over. No more questions. We're shut off. Yum. Almost done. All right. So I'm going to see you next Sunday. Again, if you got any questions, shoot me off an email. And to the people that contributed, I really appreciate it. I thank you. And great view in Dark Papaya. It's awesome. Even better view at Boludo's. It's breathtaking. But you don't want to go at night because then it's dark. You're looking at the mountains and the river. Okay. No, gotta go. Ciao. See you later. Next Sunday.